Good evening, Gabby.
Good evening, TC, and welcome all to our weekly podcast, The Curran View, with the Ard of Hillsborough and Mr. Terry Curran. If you're listening to the free half on either Acast or Spotify, you can follow the links on the socials and access the full podcast via either Apple or Patreon. Become a Patreon, helps us greatly. All the w's.patreon.com/SRBmedia. Follow us on Twitter at Curran View or on Facebook, The Curran View, and the group is over 3,000 strong. Thank you so much for your support. It's greatly appreciated. How are you?
Steady away.
I love it when you say that, TC. Steady away. What a start to the podcast, and what a week it's going to be. We're going to be finished on the football forecast, and it is a big football forecast this week because the playoff games start.
That's Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. And on Thursday, we've got Wycombe versus MK Dons. So we're going to touch upon both of those. But TC, first and foremostly, what we always do is start with the magic moments. And what have you sourced for us this week?
I don't know why we do this magic moment, because we both pick a magic moment, but there must be 100. There must be 100 magic moments. Not only with goals, but with performances of teams, goals from other players, passes what split defences open, and goalkeeper saves. There's many, but I'm going for the Son goal. His second goal against Leicester. You know, I was speaking with Tom in Count the other day. Tom was on about him. He is some hell of a player, isn't he? You know.
Yes.
And I agree with Tom. I mean, Tottenham's a big club. I don't think our Thomas realised it is a big club, Tottenham, but I get it because it's the elite clubs what play in Europe or the Champions League, however you want to look at it. But Tottenham is a big club. But I am surprised that one of the elite Champions teams hasn't gone and tried to sign him.
Yeah, he's fantastic. I heard, because I was working over the weekend, I heard Sonny had scored a great goal, and I thought, right, I've got to watch Tottenham. And I saw his first goal, and I thought, yeah, you're right, what a goal, what a spin, and what a great goal. And then I thought, oh my God, that second goal he scored, I mean, what a sensational, and that touch that just took it away. And he just curled it. It was just sublime. And you're right, I think he is an absolutely fabulous player. I don't think he gets the credit that he deserves. And he's been injured quite a bit as well, hasn't he? And he still scored 19 goals.
I think that's what Tom was trying to say. He didn't get the credit because it's always Harry Kane, isn't it?
Yes.
But that's typical. That's typical British, the British press or the English press. You know, Kane's a natural goal scorer. Make no mistake on it. But Son is one hell of a player. One hell of a player.
Do you think? I mean, we had this conversation on Sunday, Tom and I, and Tom come out. I thought it was a very valid point. And he says, "Do you think he doesn't get the recognition because he's South Korean? And if he was Brazilian, Spanish, or Italian, he'd get a lot more press." And I thought, you know what? I think you've got a point, because South Korea aren't noted really for the football, whereas Argentina and Brazil and all the bigger countries are. And I think that when we look at goals being scored by other players, we say, blimey, if Messi or Ronaldo would have scored that, we wouldn't have heard the last of it.
And I get where you're coming from, but there's one thing. You see, what's happened over these last 10 or 15 years? They knew there's a big market.
Yeah.
Out in the markets. So they started to fetch these players in. But the guy, Song at Man United? Ji-sung Park.
Yeah.
Was a top player, but this kid is the best I've seen from the Far East without any question of a doubt. It's just that Tottenham, they're hit and miss, aren't they?
Yes, they are. Very much so.
Who they have as a manager, they're hit and miss.
Yeah.
You know, again, it's not that I'm being critical to Daniel Levy, because money-wise, he's generated a load of money for that football club.
Yeah.
But they squandered a lot of money on not bad players, but on players what's not been capable of getting them into Champions League on a regular basis. So that's down to Daniel Levy, because it's him who signed these players.
Yeah, they seem to go for a certain type instead of going and shopping. We've got a shop. Well, we got a shop, Rackham's in Birmingham, which is the House of Fraser, which is similar to Harrods, but Harrods isn't much greater. I don't know what you've got up there at Sheffield, but you've got levels of shopping, haven't you?
I'll
You
tell you
know,
what we've got up here,
go on.
Lidl or Aldi, whatever it is.
Well, I think that's where Daniel Levy's going for his players instead of going to
I think
one of
that's where
the.
Man United's been, the Lidl's or Aldi's.
I think you're right, Jason. I
But
think both their
going back,
recruitments are poor.
yeah, going back to Son,
Mm,
if they'd been in Champions League and going for titles, I think he would have got the recognition he
yeah.
deserves. He still deserves it. Don't get me wrong,
Mm,
but look, football. Well, football was still here before the Premier League.
absolutely.
Everybody's obsessed with the Premier League.
Yeah.
Well, I think what's many everyone obsessed with it is the amount of money. It's become like the footballers have now become the pop stars, like the pop stars were in my day when I was playing football. Yet the pop stars still wanted to be footballers.
I think pop stars want to be footballers. Footballers were the pop stars. The difference is now every game's on the TV and there's so much more attention to the
Yeah,
players.
recognition and
Yeah,
everything. Yeah,
absolutely. Whereas in your
social
day,
media.
yeah, it was just the FA Cup final, wasn't it? And you get the odd international that England were playing or a World Cup. And even the Euros really wasn't a big thing back in
No,
the early 80s. I can't even remember a Euros in the 70s, if I'm absolutely honest. I know that England played a Nations League game, because that's what it was called then, in 72 against West Germany when Gunter Netzer ripped us a new one. But apart from that, we didn't really, it hadn't got the kudos that it has today.
well,
And I think,
The World Cup was a big one.
absolutely,
But
yeah,
the old internationals then
yeah,
used to be, because at the end of the season,
yeah,
everybody used to love to watch them because obviously the
yeah.
kicking used to get between the Scots and the English, the Welsh and the English, and the Irish and the English. So they were the big things back then.
Absolutely. So my magic moments, of course, Sonny's brace was one of mine. Snap. Sam Surridge's second goal for Forest against Swansea. They absolutely tortured Swansea. A shame that they couldn't overcome Bournemouth last night. And well done to Bournemouth and well done to Fulham. Both are on their way back to the Premier League. I'm
The
hoping
cool,
at this time
yeah.
next year, TC, we're not saying that welcome back to the Championship, because that's what we've created at the moment. Teams that are good at going up and very good at coming back down.
Well, Bournemouth have the last two games have got two great results, which were Blackburn away and then Forest.
Yeah.
I mean, if Forest when they not Sturridge, what was the guy's name? Zamora hit the post,
Yeah.
crossbar. If that goes in, I'm not saying that Bournemouth still don't go on to win. Well, it's Sturridge. Sam Sturridge. Sorry, Sam Sturridge. Tom's correcting me. So if that goes in,
Yeah.
Bournemouth may still go on to win. But I mean, what an achievement it is produced so far. But it'll mean nothing unless he goes up, because you know as well as I do. I've sang his praises. He's missed out twice with Swansea, so I'm hoping he does it for his sake as much as for his sake, just so he can get onto that next level. But then he's got to keep Forest up there and then build on it from there.
Absolutely. And the problem is, again, I didn't see the first 20 minutes of the game. I was thinking it was kicking off at 7:45, and it kicked off at 7 o'clock. And
Yeah.
apparently they had a nailed on penalty that wasn't given as well. I've
Yeah.
got to say, what a great goal from Bournemouth.
Oh,
I mean,
great
everyone,
free kick.
yeah. But again, if
I
you
meant to
look at,
mention it, to be honest. I
yeah,
forgot about what a great free kick, wasn't it?
but if you're looking at it from a defensive point of view, TC, why is no one standing on him? Why is no
Well,
one touch tight with him?
I'll tell you, I can guarantee one thing. I used to stand up, like in positions like that.
Yeah.
They always had somebody on you all the time.
Absolutely.
But you're
Yeah.
right, there's nobody. I find that strange that they've left him open. At any level of football, really, isn't it?
I couldn't believe it, but I think what they were doing is they were just solely focusing on Billing, and the way he was looking at it, the way he was eyeing it up, the way that he just got the ball and right, I'm having this, and he was just solely focused on having a shot. And I think everybody got suckered into that punch, and he just rolls it across, and Kiefer Moore puts it in the bag.
As a Forest player and manager and fans, you've got to be disappointed in the goal, but
Gutted.
great thinking from Bournemouth players and great finish.
Mind you, it did make me laugh. Kiefer Moore, he said, I can't, it's great that I always thought I was going to be a Premier League player. And I was listening to it come driving around today, and I thought, hang on, son, your team have gone up to the Premier League. Doesn't mean to say you're going with them.
You never know, do you?
No, you don't.
You were not good enough, but you're going.
Absolutely. Now we got up. We need some better players. Thank you for that.
But they can't take that away from him. He's helped Bournemouth get, to get promoted to the Premier League.
Absolutely, and that's what they were bought in for in January. They spent a lot of money. They really did put all those eggs in the same basket, and fortunately for Bournemouth, they all hatched and they're in the Premier League. My other magic moment, what I want to give a shout to, is Scott Twine's 4 goals for MK Dons. I mean, he looks a player, League One Player of the Year as well, and Wycombe are entertaining MK Dons tomorrow. What team would you prefer to play, given that you've got Sunderland and hopefully Wednesday get through and beat Sunderland? Who would you prefer to play, Wycombe or MK?
Listen, what I'm going to say to you now, Gabby, I'm no different me than George Best, Alan Hudson, Frank Worthington.
Yeah,
I'm not bothered who we play. I would never. It doesn't bother me whoever we play, but it does bother a lot of people because I did it myself with other players. I say, I hope they get beat Wycombe today, so we could play Wycombe so we can get to Wembley, or I hope we can get to final, so we can play them at final, or who's Wycombe playing? You say
MK Dons. MK Dons. I think MK Dons are a better footballing team.
What I will say is this. This will be the biggest playoff crowd you'll ever see.
Absolutely.
Sunderland and Sheffield Wednesday, because it's going to be a full house up there.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a full house at Hillsborough. 35,000 people there for last game of the season to beat Swansea. So that's going to be a record. It's going to be a tough game, either way. Obviously, I think we will win. It doesn't mean we are going to win. That's just me.
Yeah.
So I'm not bothered who we play. I always think that we're going to win. You can't win every game you're playing, but I always thought we could win. So you're asking the wrong person to think like that, or how I think.
Yeah.
Who I'd want to play. It's just not me. I just said, right, just can't wait for the game to start.
Have they contacted you, Sheffield Wednesday, to get the microphone before the teams run out to sing live, Singing the Blues? Because they still play it at Hillsborough. You posted it up and I shared it. Terry Curran singing the blues, it is synonymous with Sheffield Wednesday, and I think it'd be a great moment as they're coming out, Terry Curran singing it to the boys that are going into battle.
They have two. They have that IO Silver Lining, which is brilliant. If you've got to be there when it's buzzing, it is. It doesn't half sound well, but they use that in all, don't the Wolverhampton Wanderers
and Villa? Yeah.
Does Villa use it?
Villa use it. I have Aston Villa. Yeah. There's quite brilliant. A few teams that do, but not many do Singing the Blues. Ipswich used to, and Birmingham City did for a certain period.
To say it's over 30 years ago, 40 years ago, it's still going. Still sounds well today, if I'm honest.
Sounds fantastic too. So it's iconic. I would have you on the pitch with that microphone singing it if I was Sheffield Wednesday. Mind you, Chancery might not be able to afford you. Things are looking a bit grim. They really do need to get promoted, all joking apart, don't they?
Well, I've told you what I've told everybody all along. By the way, Gabby, let me put this to you. I don't like to talk about Sheffield Wednesday because everything I say always seems to go wrong with it.
Yeah.
They could still get promoted and find themselves having points deducted.
Right. Really?
Yeah, but there's a lot of problems at Sheffield Wednesday. What's being done?
So does it get transferred, say, from League One to the Championship because it's still the Football League? Because
I don't know, because I really don't know that side of it and how it works.
Yeah, same here.
How can Derby County have points deducted and then 2 months later get more points deducted?
They went into administration, so they had the 14.
All right.
So they'd had already.
There is big problems there, and we could be in big problems if we don't go up.
I know that
We need to go up.
There've been situations where teams had got promoted. I think Villa were one of them. Had they have not got promoted, they would have had a points deduction, but because they did get promoted, then you go into the Premier League, which isn't part of the Football League,
Right.
then the gloves stay on. But I think if you do go from League One up to Championship, I think the gloves might be off, and who knows? I mean, it's an absolute basket case. I don't know what they're doing. I mean, they do seem to like to find these football clubs, but the teams at the top that are
It's not
breaking
that.
more rules than anybody else get away with it. It's mad.
How can a football club
Don't
get
know.
fined, and yet the directors walk away
I know, it's incredible, isn't it?
without any punishment,
Yeah.
without losing any money?
Yeah, I know. It's
You know,
always the clubs and the fans.
if,
I know, it's
if all
mad.
happens to Sheffield Wednesday, they'll turn around and say, Chance Saviour's lost a load. That's a load, the biggest load of
Yeah.
rubbish I've heard in my life, because whatever money they put in, they get taken out weekly.
Yeah.
They get paid
Yeah.
before anybody else.
Of course they do, yeah, and the
And
loans.
they get it. What they're doing, because they're not borrowing it from these football clubs, they're borrowing it from their companies,
Of course
and
they have.
they're making a bigger profit on it. People fall for it all the
Of
time.
course they do. I mean, you look at Abramovich. I mean, he's loaned Chelsea 1.5 billion. Um, Depending on who you listen to or what you read, he wants it back. Well, he's going to. It's 1.5 billion, kids. It ain't a round of drinks. But he buys these players, so he loans the football club the money, and it's a guarantee of getting at least the same amount back, and some of them load interest onto it as well. So happy days, ka-ching.
I'd love to know how much he's had back already, me.
Absolutely, yeah, because they're getting paid in dividends, they're getting paid in interest. It's like happy days. And then the fans think, oh, brilliant, they own our football club, and they're doing it because they love us. I mean, come on, let's get real,
Well,
kids.
you can't knock fans, and I tell you the reason why.
Yeah.
Because if your team's winning major trophy, I mean, look, you've only got to look at these two, Manchester Cities and Chelsea. They've always been great clubs, haven't they?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Up to Abramovich coming there, you know, the last time they won the league title, which was the first division, was 1955 when I was born.
Yeah.
I think Manchester City won it in sixes. I can't remember now, 70s.
Are you down in that cellar again?
No, I've just come to the toilet for a wee. So I've just come back out again.
Can't you hold the phone in one hand and hold it with the other?
No, I shouldn't talk like this. Anyway, forget that.
You have to go on hands free.
What were we on about then?
Well, we were on
The
about
Chelsea,
Abramovich and Chelsea, and he
fans.
flew over Stamford Bridge, didn't he? Because he was going to buy Tottenham, and then like, oh, what's that down there? I think I'll buy that club instead.
Well, they would in massive trouble if
Yeah.
Abramovich doesn't buy it. But again, they got into Champions. But did they get into Champions League? I think they did.
I'm not too sure in the first year, but certainly very shortly he made massive inroads and turned Chelsea around almost instantly, didn't he, Abramovich?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they were just getting a decent side together. Then when you start to buy players like Robin and all these, you know, some of them, they bought some that and Duff. They bought some absolutely great players, didn't they, over the years?
Absolutely too. So, Book Corner in association with myfootballbooks.com. We just recorded our most recent podcast with Andy from My Football Books, and it's all on our socials now. So you can listen to 2 hours of hour and a half of me and Andy talking football books, and our special guest, our author of the month, Jill Morris. So it's out now on all the socials, Spotify or Apple, etc., etc., etc. And the first book that we're going to be talking about tonight is The Big Fix, TC, which is Jill Morris's book. Lovely lady. It's her first venture into writing football books, and it's a novel. It's a thriller.
Right, good. Because at the end of the day, again, like I've always said, you've got an hand in all different corners, haven't you? With books.
Yeah.
Yesteryear on football and how football started and these old great players. You know, by paying into our podcast, they get all sorts.
Absolutely.
Music, there's everything what goes with it. So, and it's a good education, and it's some great people on this on this podcast. What you get onto the podcast, the fantastic interviews you do.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm a big lover of you, Gabby. If I'm honest, I mean, I say it as it is. If I didn't think you were any good, Gabby, I'm not doing this no more. It's crap. But I can listen to you, ask people questions, even when you're talking to me. I just love listening to your voice.
Well, I used to love to watch you play, TC. You playing is far better than my voice will ever be. I actually don't particularly like my voice, but I do like the sound of other people's voices, and I love interviewing them. And we always do biographies or autobiographies or historical content in Book Corner, but this one is a novel. We don't do many novels, but this one is fantastic. I'm going to be reading it. I did say to Jill, she kindly sent me a copy of the book, and I said, look, I've got hundreds of football books that I haven't read. I will get round to reading it one day, and all the very best going forward. Tremendous presentation.
Listen,
There's a couple of calling cards in there. It looks fantastic. So all the usual outlets, guys, purchase
I
the
have
book.
more chance of managing England than you reading all them books, because you must have that many books. You've got more books than the library.
I certainly have got a few, and one that I do want in my library, TC, In the Shadow of Ben Bulben. Now, I hadn't got a clue where Ben Bulben is and was, but it's the story of Dixie Dean's time at Sligo Rovers, so I'm guessing that's where Sligo Rovers come from, Ben Bulben, although it might not be because I don't really know. And the book's been written by Paul Little, so that looks to be a fantastic read.
Sligo Rovers is Ireland, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it is,
So
yeah. He
yeah,
went over there and played over there for 3 or 4 months.
got a little town or a little city, whatever it is.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's got a lovely cover. It's inviting me in. I'm going to buy the book, In the Shadow of Ben Bulben. We did mention it on the podcast with Andy as well. And Dixie Dean, what an absolute legend of a player. And when he finished there at Everton, he went over and scored loads of goals for, I think it was 3 or maybe 4 months that he played for Sligo Rovers. I mean, what a signing that would have been, wouldn't it? Can imagine it, couldn't you? In the pubs, we're going to bring Dixie Dean. Yeah, of course you are. No, we're going to bring. Hello, Dixie. How are you?
But in those days, it did happen, didn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
nowadays it won't
Yeah.
happen as much, does it?
No, I mean it can't.
They earn that much money now; they don't have to keep playing.
No, and I think that some of them, play football because, they're good at it, and some of them aren't particularly in love with the game. I suppose that was always the case, that some players are really disciples of the game of football, and some players just played because they were decent at it.
Look at Bobby Moore; he had to go to Oxford City in his first job. I think I'm sure his first job were Oxford City before he went to Southend.
Mm.
You're looking at somebody what's played over 100 times for England.
Absolutely.
Won a World Cup. That's the only trophy we've won.
Yeah.
Yet the FA, we spoke about this last week, never recognised his achievements at all, really, did they?
No, they never. For whatever reason, and we can only second
I think there's
guess.
a statue there now, but that's only because of demand by player fan power.
Absolutely, and I think the same at West Ham as the Bobby Moore stand, isn't there? And there may be a statue or not. I've not been to the London stadium, but Alan Hudson always says they'll put a statue up when you pass away, but they won't do nothing for you while you're alive. And what we're talking about, Uddy, there's a piece in the Telegraph today about his battles with the English FA. He's trying to get all his records expunged from the English Football Association for the way that he was treated all those years ago, being banned by Alf Ramsey for 3 years, and then Reeve overlooking him constantly. So Al's no lover of England. He used to be, but I mean, he played 8 under 23 games, 10 in total. 2 were abandoned, but it was bad weather that they were abandoned for. So he played 8 under 23 games and 2 full international games. For a player of Alan Hudson's ability, is absolutely scandalous. And as I say, he's got a battle with the FA now to have his records expunged. And there was a piece in the Daily Telegraph today.
Just before you phoned tonight, his son young Al, sent me the article. I just finished reading it. Well, I'm telling a lie. I just read it, but I just finished writing about it because I posted it up on my wall, not on the Curran View wall, on my wall.
Are you going to post it on the Curran View as well?
I will do.
Yeah, let's get on there as well.
I'll post it up on there as well. But when I look at it, You know, I mean, on the Curran View this week, I put a midfield trio of Ball, Hudson, and Curry.
Yeah.
There's plenty more I could have put, but as a manager, you have to pick what you think's right. But as an England manager, if Alan weren't doing it or Curry weren't doing it, Bally weren't doing it, I wouldn't be frightened as a manager to say, right, you've had your chance.
Yeah.
Start playing. I'm leaving you out. Start playing a little bit better, and you'll be back in. Because great managers have got the charisma to be able to do it, and the great players will look at it. Well, hang on a bit. He has been fair with me. I will look what he's been trying to tell me, what I've not been doing right. But what I've is my life right? Is this right? Is that right? But it's such a shame. I mean, I saw it all firsthand. I saw it all firsthand because I was a young player myself. To see players like that, because I told you, I remember that name now, Tony. Bloody hell! I said it other bloody day to myself. The Sheffield United reporter used to write in the Star, and he said to me, and he told me about we're going down a Portsmouth. We were talking about. He said, well, why would you pick that type of team? Right now, this is because I'm 10 years older than Guardiola. That's because they wouldn't give the ball away. What they're doing at Manchester City, Bally, Upson, and Curry would have done that.
Absolutely.
Right? McFarlane, Todd, great players. Came out with the ball. David Nish, great left back.
Yep.
Gary Stevens, I could have picked Vid Anderson or Gary Stevens. But I went for Gary because he was even more than an athlete than Viv. And what I mean by that, technically great players, both were great players. But Viv weren't the best trainer. Gary was an absolutely unbelievable trainer.
You always come across as a model
and
pro.
then, you know, you got, I picked Charlie George, George Best, and Giggsy.
Yeah.
I want players what can go past people.
Yeah.
It's got pace to go past people, you know. And Tony, it'll come to me in a bit. But they don't give the ball away. And when they pass the ball, they pass with quality and accuracy. Yeah. You know, and that's what I've always looked at that as being a manager. People said to me, why did you go into management? Well, I did at Gould. And it didn't backfire on me. I did well. And the chairman made a mess of it by saying that, you know, we've got to get rid of players. I said, why? He said, because we owe them £1,000. I said, how do you mean he owe them £1,000 each? I said, our wage bill is 750. I said, I've not taken, first thing a manager would do at that level is take 200 quid out for himself. I didn't take a penny out. And I paid for tea, toast, beans and toast, scrambled egg on toast, coffees. And we used to play like in Carnarvon and Rill and all them, banging. They've got their own league now, that Welsh league. Yeah. But I was managing goal. And as Gates went from, 75 to 250. And in some cases, we got 700 people there. Yeah. You know, and we were the only team to be unbeaten. I'd only been 9 games, we won 8, and we'd lost 1. And the chairman said to me, can you come through? I goes through. He's got a bottle of champagne on the table. I said, well, we've only played 9 games, Bitty Chairman. He said, no, I've got some bad news. I said, what? He said, we've got to get rid of players. I said, why? I said, you tell me we could go up. We've only played 9 games. He said, we owe them £1,000 each. I said, have you done that? He said, I agreed a bonus system with them. I didn't expect us winning. I said, I think I've come here not to win games. You know, and then I've never really had a chance to manage a league club. You know, so I'm not saying I'd have been any good at it. I might have been the worst manager there's ever been.
Mind you, that team you've picked is bloody decent, TC. I mean, what a side that would be. Who was your goalie, by the way?
Southall.
Ah, right, yeah.
Southall.
Yeah.
The best I've ever played with. Better than Schultz for me. And I like Schultz, but without a question of a doubt. I mean, Banks, what a world-class goalkeeper, as you know, but, you know, when you look at it, it's just in that era in the sense that Nevin Giggsy would have missed out on playing with Curry and them, but, you know, it's a little bit of modern, not too far, too back. But I want to see people play with a tempo. I want to see people have confidence. And it's like, oh, else, if I pass that ball to Giggsy, I know he's not going to lose it.
Yeah.
If I pass the ball, if Alan Hudson passes the ball to Tony Curry, he's not going to lose it. But you know, the biggest thing is about that team, Uddy wouldn't be frightened to play it to Gary Stevens.
No, of course he wouldn't.
Because I've seen it. A lot of players, they won't pass to certain